Hello everyone. It's been a while. This past month has flown by. For me, honestly, both April and May have flown by. I can't believe it's nearly the end of May already. March was much slower for me. But I hope everybody's doing well. Trying to keep up with all the changes that are going on. Utah has mostly, I believe every county now has turned yellow. So businesses are opening up, things are starting to progress and move on. There are still challenges with these businesses, trying to keep up with the CDC guidelines and the state guidelines that are being put into place to try to keep people safe and try to keep these businesses able to be open, but keep the people safe. Some of these guidelines are making it a lot harder for some businesses to get the customers that they really need to be able to try to recover from what they've lost over the past couple of months with the shutdown. So hopefully these businesses can find a way to work through this. I know it's been hard on a lot of businesses just because of all the changes, 6 feet apart and only so many people in a building at a time, and masks or no masks. That's been quite a question for everybody, quite a challenge for everybody. A lot of people have a hard time with the masks. They really struggle with it, whether it's because of anxiety or they feel like they're being contained or confined, and kind of sets off a panic attack in some people. I understand. I thankfully don't have that problem. I have to wear a mask about 10 hours a day every day at work, so I'm lucky that I haven't had any problems working with a mask every day. But it has definitely been in social media. People that argue that they shouldn't have to wear a mask, and companies that are saying it's now our policy that you have to wear a mask. And hopefully not too many people are getting roped into the challenges that are coming along with all of the guidelines and the new rules and not quite laws, but standards for these companies. So a couple of things that I want to touch on today is one of them is the unemployment that the United States is experiencing right now. And in connection with that, the new stimulus bill that they're still trying to pass. So unemployment right now is over 36 million people that have filed for unemployment since this began back in March. That's a lot of people. People are relating it not just to the worst unemployment since the Great Depression, but they're saying that this is an unemployment that is on the same level as the Great Depression. So it's pretty significant, the people that are not able to work right now. So with that, we move on to the stimulus check that right now the Senate is debating, and they have not yet passed it. The House passed the bill a week and a half ago, I understand. But it's really struggling in the Senate. And part of it is because of the unemployment. With everything that's going on, unemployment is a little bumped up right now. People are getting more money than they would have if the coronavirus had not come into effect the beginning of the year. So those who are filing for unemployment because of coronavirus, they are getting more money than they can make working. And with the new stimulus bill that they're trying to pass, they want the unemployment benefits to continue possibly until January of 2021. And the challenge that they're running into is if they continue to do this, even though companies are opening, businesses are opening, jobs are becoming available, people may not be going and seeking those jobs because they're getting more money by not working. So that's been a challenge that's prevented this stimulus bill passing through the Senate. There are a couple of different deterrents as well to the stimulus bill passing, but I do believe that that's the biggest one. It would be a great benefit for companies. It would be a great benefit for those that are suffering. They are struggling. And I don't want to put down those people that are trying so hard to provide for their families by seeking unemployment. But I am stating that that's one of the deterrents to passing this bill. So some of the CDC guidelines that are starting to come into effect, there's a little bit of a question of, are they too much? A lot of schools are struggling trying to understand how they're going to be able to follow these guidelines once schools start back up in the fall. A lot of friends and family that I know of are planning on continuing homeschooling because of the situation. They may not be able to get their kids into the school that they wanted because of the restrictions on numbers that will most likely go into effect this fall with the new school year. So it's going to be a challenge for school starting up again in fall, trying to follow these guidelines. And again, I've already touched a little bit on the companies and the businesses that are struggling trying to put these guidelines into place. It is the end of the school year. Everything's finished. Our lost graduates made it through the end. They had their very diverse and interesting graduations throughout the state and throughout the country, as the schools were trying to find ways to honor these graduates without breaking the rules of the guidelines for separation and social distancing. But I think most of them made it through pretty well, and I think this might make them a little bit stronger. They've had to face quite a challenge right off the bat, right as they're ending their high school education. So as they move on to the next phase of their life, they've already hurdled one very big challenge in their lives. So it's going to be interesting to see how these lost graduates do in the coming years. So another thing I want to touch on is I feel that people are starting to lose interest in the virus. They're starting to want to move on. They're wanting things to go back to normal. And they're not paying as much attention to what's going on in their states, in their cities, in their country anymore. And I worry that might come back to bite us in the next few years. Are we really paying attention to what's going on as we start to get bored with the virus? Will we look back and find out in 5 years that we missed something that will have a big impact in our future because we became complacent with allowing our governments to just throw out all of these guidelines and rules and laws that will be changing things for the future? There's a lot of controversy with the virus. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of conspiracy theories. And it's hard to know what's true and what's not. And I think because we've been so overwhelmed with all of this, it's playing into that boredom for us. We are losing interest in what's going on. And I have a couple of questions. I don't know the answer, but I have a couple of questions. Was the virus released? We know that there was a virology lab in Wuhan, China, that was working on coronaviruses. Was this accidentally or even intentionally introduced to humans to see the effect, to see what would happen, for a more nefarious purpose? I don't know. But it's something that maybe 5 years from now, we might have an answer to. I wonder if some of those scientists that worked in the Wuhan virology lab have since died of the coronavirus. Are some of their employees missing after the virus was released? Another question is, are our leaders in an ethical position financially to be guiding us in the choices that we should be making when it comes to the virus and the vaccine in the future? How many of our leaders are going to be gaining financially because of the vaccine? How many of our leaders that are pushing us and guiding us are guiding us with their own financial plans for their own future? Are we going to look back in 5 years again and see what we missed? Again, I really do question what the purpose of this virus is. Was it really released, or was it just natural? Many scientists say that there's no way it could have been natural, that the timing is not sufficient for this to have been a naturally occurring change in the virus to be able to transfer from animals to humans. So if that's the case, what might the consequences of this virus be in the future? Is it far more than what we're seeing right now? It seems that every week, every 2 weeks, every month, we're seeing more side effects, more consequences of the virus. And I have to say, one of my questions is, was this virus released as population control? Again, that's a conspiracy theory. I don't know. Another big question I have is, will this virus in the future prove to cause infertility? I don't know why, but that's a question that popped into my head a couple days ago, and it just makes me wonder. So I guess we'll see in the future. As I wrap up, I do want to give our numbers for the end of, or nearly the end of May. In Utah, we're up to 8,392 confirmed cases with 97 deaths. In the United States, we're up to 1.7 million confirmed cases with almost 100,000 deaths. And throughout the world, we're nearly at 5.5 million confirmed cases. And right now we're sitting at about 346,000 deaths throughout the world. It's hard looking out and seeing how some countries are still not doing so well. They're really suffering. Other countries, we seem to be on the uprise. We're doing better. Things are improving. But there are some countries that are being very hard hit right now. And it's proving to be a very hard virus to be able to control. So good luck to you. Good luck in the next few weeks. And we'll see you again in a little while.